you should remember to stay hydrated. Always have a glass of water nearby. Alright, so today we're going to be doing Advent of Code Day 21. This is basically a month-long challenge where every day there's 2 programming puzzles, and I'm going to be doing every one of them. So, Day 21. I apologize for yesterday's video not having an explanation, even though it was pretty difficult, and I know a lot of you probably wanted to watch it for the explanation, but there's no explanation there. And that was because I had Yusuko yesterday, so I was pretty tired and couldn't do an explanation. And the problem was too difficult, and I was lazy to explain it. So we're just going to be doing day 21 today, allergen assessment. You reach the train's last stop and the closest you can get to your vacation island without getting wet. There aren't even any boats here, but nothing can stop you now. You build a raft. You just need a few days worth of food for your journey. You don't speak the local language, so you can't read any ingredients lists. However, sometimes allergens are listed in a language you do understand. You should be able to use this information to determine which ingredient contains which allergen and work out which foods are safe to take with you on your trip. You start by compiling a list of foods, your puzzle input, 1 food per line. Each line includes that food's ingredients list, followed by some or all of the allergens that the food contains. Each allergen is found in exactly 1 ingredient. Each ingredient contains 0 or 1 allergen. Allergens aren't always marked. When they're listed as in contains nuts, shellfish, after an ingredients list, the ingredient that contains each listed allergen will be somewhere in the corresponding ingredients list. However, even if an allergen isn't listed, the ingredient that contains the allergen could still be present. Maybe they forgot to label it, or maybe it was labeled in a language you don't know. For example, consider the following list of foods. Think of a list. First food in the list has 4 ingredients. While the food might contain other allergens, a few allergens the food definitely contains are listed afterwards: dairy and fish. The first step is to determine which ingredients can't possibly contain any of the allergens in any food in your list. In the above example, none of the ingredients, these 4, can contain an allergen. Okay, counting the number of times any of these ingredients appear in any ingredient list will produce as 5. They all appear once each except SBZZF, which appears twice. Determine which ingredients cannot possibly contain any of the allergens in your list. How many times do any of these ingredients appear? Okay, so seems like a pretty straightforward problem. Although there are some parts that seem a little bit more difficult. Let me just analyze it for a second. Okay, wait, I'm confused because it says allergens aren't always marked. Oh, okay, wait. We just need to find which ingredients can't contain any allergens on our list. So, for example, TRH, one of the ingredients in here contains dairy. Okay, wait. There just seems like there's a lot of uncertainty in here. So let's analyze this. So it says, so both of these 2 first ingredients contain dairy. So a common ingredient must contain dairy. So it must be this one. So this ingredient, MXM, must contain dairy. And then the first and the last one both contain fish. So a common ingredient must contain fish. So that's this one and this one. And then soy, it cannot be this one, so it must be this one. And then the rest don't contain any of the allergens that... Okay. I think we have... Oh my god, that's a lot. Okay, well, we got our input. Let's solve the problem. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I think today was a pretty clean attempt. 1945 is the answer. That is the right answer. So it's time to explain. Okay, so basically what we're going to do here is we're actually going to kind of solve the whole problem. We're going to find which ingredients contain which allergens. So each allergen can only be in 1 ingredient. So we're going to create a unique dictionary that maps an allergen to its ingredient. So first what we need to do, our strategy, I guess, is to look at all the ingredients in an ingredients list for every allergen that is in the food. So we take every food that has, for example, fish. Okay, we take every food that has fish, we look at all its ingredients, and then we look at which which ingredients the food has in common with all the other foods that also have that allergen. So, for example, all the foods that have fish, we look at which ingredients are common between all of them, and if there's one unique one that has that is common between all of them, then that one must be the one that has fish. And we actually, how we do that, I'll explain later. But after that, we actually have something a little bit different. We don't actually get anything unique. So I'll actually print out the our results. Oh, okay. Well, so over here, final ingredients. I'll explain what this is later, but basically it just maps each allergen to an ingredient. And before we actually do that, we actually have something else, which is find ingredient. Right. So we want to the function find ingredient just does what I explained before. It looks at all the foods that have a given allergen, and then it looks at which ingredients are common between those foods. So the result could actually be not unique. So for example, all the foods that contain fish, they could have ingredient 1, ingredient 2, and ingredient 3 in common. So we don't know which one contains fish, but we can narrow that down using the same strategy that we used on a previous day. I'm not sure which day it was, but there was something that involved narrowing stuff down to just one element. So in find ingredient, we don't have a unique list, but if we print it out, let's see what happens if we print it out, right? So what happens if we actually print it out is we get this. Actually, I should probably print the allergen along with that. So we see that fish, possible ingredients are these 3. Shellfish have these 2 possible ingredients. Sesame has these 4, and so on. And we just do that using the find common ingredients of foods that contain allergen function that we used before. So we have this. And how we narrow it down is, well, we look at the allergen that could only have one possible food, because one possible ingredient, because we're just assuming that this happens eventually. So we know that this is XZB, and XZB is, this must be the ingredient that has wheat. So we know that any other allergen cannot be in XZB. So from soy, we can remove that. So we know that soy does not have, soy is not in XZB, and we know that shellfish is not in XZB. And that lets us know that shellfish is actually in KHQSK. So we can eliminate that possibility from all other possible ingredients lists for every allergen. And yeah, that's our basic strategy. At the end, we know which allergens contain, we know which ingredients contain which allergens. We just look at all of the other ingredients, because those don't have any allergens, and we just add together their counts. So let's actually dive a little deeper into the code. First of all, we have these 2 functions, but they're not really used right now, so I won't explain them. First, we have a list with all ingredients and all allergens. This is a list, basically just has a, just contains for every food. So yeah, for every food, we just have an entry in this list, and it counts, basically contains a set. It could be a list, but I chose a set because it's a little bit faster. So these contain the ingredients and the allergens for every food, where every food is an entry in these lists. We also have a unique set of ingredients and allergens, in case we want to loop over all possible ingredients and all possible allergens, and we don't want to do any redundancy. Okay, so we loop through every line in the data. To find the ingredients in this line, we look at the index of the parentheses, because there's only one parentheses. That's right here. That's right before where the allergens are listed. We split what's before that, before the left parentheses, by a space, and that just gives us our list of ingredients. We turn that into a set as well, just to make it a little bit faster. We add that to our list of all ingredients, because that's what it's for. Just lists all the ingredients for a given food. And then we find the allergens by looking at what's after the contains. because after the contains, we have a list of allergens that are separated by a comma and a space. So we split that up by a comma and a space. That's a list. We turn that into a set to make it unique and also faster. And we just add that to our list of all allergens. After that, we also have our set of unique ingredients and unique allergens. We just want to update that with our new ingredients and new allergens. We could also do that at the end of the loop, but I chose to do it at the while we're doing the loop just to, I don't know, it was simpler. So after that, we have our thing that counts which ingredients could be possible for each allergen. And to do that, we have our function. This just basically looks at all the ingredients in every single food. We keep track of which ingredients are in those foods. So, for example, fish. We look at all the foods that have fish. That's what we check for over here. If we check that the allergen is inside that food. If it's inside that food, then we look at the ingredients inside that food, and we add those ingredients to our possible list of ingredients that could contain our allergen. At the end, we intersect all of them using this set method, and this set method basically just looks at a number of sets, and then it finds the elements that are common between all of them, which is exactly what we need. We need the ingredients that are present in all the foods that contain fish, for example. Okay, after we're done with that, we have two variables, and right now we're creating this unique map between allergens and ingredients. We have this list, which is just final ingredient. It just tells us the given ingredient for a given food, and we want to update this. This is our final answer. Kind of. This is not our final answer, but it's kind of like that. And then we have this taken ingredients, which just says which ingredients have already been taken. This is the same as the values of final ingredient, but I didn't want to convert the values of final ingredient into a set and then do it all over again. Okay, so while not every allergen has an assigned ingredient, we want to do this loop. Inside this loop, we go through every single allergen. And then for every allergen, we find the ingredients that this allergen could be in. We want to subtract the taken ingredients from that because, for example, in this example, XZB contains wheat. So if we're looking at soy, for example, we want to take away XZB from that. We just want to because every allergen is only present in one ingredient. So we know that this ingredient can't contain, the used ingredients can't be possible for our given allergen. If after that there's only one remaining ingredient that could contain our allergen, then we want to take that away and we just assign it to our given allergen, and then we add it to the list of taken ingredients. So after that, we have a dictionary that relates for a given allergen which ingredient it is in. So we want to take that away from the unique ingredients list because we just want the ingredients that do not have any allergens at all. Then we count how many times each of those ingredients appears in our big list. And that's where the second function comes in. It just counts how many times a given ingredient appears in the list. We just go through all the ingredients, and then we just count how many times. And then we just go through all the foods, and then if the ingredient is in that food, we increment our count by 1. And that's how we count how many times an ingredient appears. And we just add that up for all the ingredients that don't have any allergens. That's basically it for part 1. All right, part 2. Now that you've isolated the inner ingredients, you should have enough information to figure out which ingredient contains which allergen. Okay, we already did that. Arrange the ingredients alphabetically by their allergen and separate them by commas to produce your canonical dangerous ingredient list. There should not be any spaces in your canonical dangerous ingredient list. In the above example, this would be this. Time to stock your raft with supplies. What is your canonical dangerous ingredient list? Okay, we already did this. So we can just sort the ingredients based on allergen. So that should be pretty simple. This shouldn't take too long. Okay, we've got our final answer. It is this list over here. This is our list of canonical dangerous ingredients. Boom, and we are correct. I think this is the first time that the answer was actually not an integer. Yeah, which is pretty interesting. I didn't know that could happen, but It can. I mean, there's no reason it wouldn't. So let's explain. Basically, it's the same thing. We use all the same code as above. This is the only different code. So our different code is we want to turn this list, this dictionary, into, given an ingredient, we want to find which allergen it contains. And we want it to be this way because we want to sort it based on allergen and not by ingredients. So to do that, we want the keys to be the allergens. Sorry, we want the keys to be ingredients and we want the values to be allergens. So we just turn that around by using this. Surely there's a better way to do this. There must be some way to do that in Python to reverse dict by replacing switching the ingredient, the keys with the values. So we do that. We just print it out, just to make it a little bit more clear. And then this line sorts it. It sorts the ingredients because the ingredients are keys. It sorts a dictionary by it sorts a dictionary's keys, give it by value. Okay, so we can see that the key is equal to getting the allergen for a given ingredient. So we sort it by allergen because the allergens are the values. This line, you can search up the syntax for sorting a dictionary's keys by their values. Search that up. This is what you will get. So we sort the ingredients by their allergen, and then we join it together with a comma, and then we are done. So today was a pretty clean run, I think. It was pretty good. There weren't too many bugs. It didn't take too long. It wasn't too frustrating. Today was good. So we're almost there. We are going to reach our destination islands shortly, hopefully. And it's been a fun journey. We will be done soon. So, as always, the code is going to be in a GitHub repository, which is linked in the description. Playlist for all past and future days will be in the description as well. That's basically it. So, thanks for watching. Hopefully this helped. Please leave any feedback you have. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.